Hello. I am so very thankful to be here tonight. I feel honored and privileged. I want to thank Out Loud for this wonderful opportunity. I want to thank all of you guys for being here because there were 1,000 other places you could have been, and because you're here seeing me, all 999 must have been closed. That's thanks. Oh my gosh, A&M Poetry Club. I love y'all. Y'all are awesome for being here. Wonderfully advising, PC, Nakia, my mom for birthing me. You know, we have one great accomplishment in life, and I'm here. So you don't know what. And then finally, it's the friends that don't even have a natural affiliation to poetry. Jeremiah, Kennedy. I'm just happy to have you guys here. And my kindergarten teacher who told me that ain't a word, but I use it often, so thank you, wherever she is. Once again, I'm so very thankful to be here. Oh, if you can't tell, by the way, by now, I am a horrible comedian, but that's not my strong suit, so we're here anyway. In preparation for this, I thought, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna try 30 minutes of just straight poetry? And then it kind of hit me a very important aspect of this, and it's that I don't want to ever get so focused in performance that I forget the important part of it. And that's about communicating a message and being able to affect change in the lives of others. So before I actually get into the poetry, there is poetry. That's the wonderful thing. A while back, I found a YouTube personality, and she did something so dope. It was called Daily Affirmations. And I'd never seen anything like this. And I watched her, and I was like, wow, what if I incorporated that? And like, it just made me feel powerful. I was like, I need to get that in my life. And the one thing that I want to stress throughout all of this, if you get nothing else, that's why I'm doing it in the beginning, because by the 20th minute, I may lose you. But right now, I have you. And that's the beautiful thing. Daily affirmations are to reinforce who you are, to reinforce your identity, to reinforce your voice. And you all, every single one of you in here, no exclusions, have a powerful voice. I don't care if you're a visual artist, if you're a poet, if you're a singer, you all have a voice. And I know what you're thinking. Why am I saying this to a group of creatives? If there are anybody that I don't have to say this to, it would be creatives, right? The one thing that will always stay with me, out of everyone who has said, you are going places, you can do this, I remember upon hearing something I did, TC came to me and she said, you are powerful. And she probably don't remember this, but I'm always gonna remember that. So it doesn't matter how many times somebody tells you that you are powerful, you never know who's that one person who through everything, that one phrase is gonna stick with you. So number one in daily affirmations, you are not here by accident. The universe needs you. So I know a lot of times we want to kind of hide our voice, right? There are some things that we don't want to say because we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. We don't want to be the rebellious voice. But imagine the universe as this order. And your voice is so important in that process. So if you're hiding your voice, what does that do to the universe? The universe literally needs you to do what you do, to say what you say, and to be what you are. Number two, you are love, both capable of giving love and receiving love. 3, you are not your mistakes. You are light. You cannot be extinguished. 4, you are greater than any bad thought. There is no power in that thought. It will not and cannot manifest as reality. 5, you will walk with an unquestionable peace. You will not allow your sanity or sanctity to be compromised. 6, you will maintain your inner quiet. No adversity will tarnish that. 7, even 1 second of good in your life is greater than years of bad. 8, you are not your hurt. With each inhalation of joy, you will exhale any pain. 9, you in and of yourself are enough. Without the approval or love of another, you are enough. So Josh, what are you talking about? You keep talking about this voice, you keep talking about this voice. How many of us have ever had to say something that we didn't feel we had the power to say? Your work of art, whatever your medium is, can be the mask that you need to wear to get what you need to get across. So you know, sometimes we can't say what we need to say, right? You know, my name thinker, and I can be a bold poet, but I do get insecure sometimes, and I am both unashamed and unapologetic to say that. Go back to whoever you need to be. But never should you ever stifle your voice at the expense of people feeling uncomfortable, because what happens when people get uncomfortable, things start to change. So if you hear nothing else that I say tonight, that's perfectly fine, because you gave me 5 minutes, and I'm thankful for that. But you know, if you do listen, I would like that too. But remember that your voice is yours, so use it. This first piece I really love, and it was inspired by one of my friends who told me to go look up his favorite spoken word artist, Rudy Francisco. And I was not necessarily adept with Mr. Rudy, so I had to go look and, you know, kind of see what he was about. And he had something called My Honest Poem. And in that poem, he addressed a lot of things. It wasn't a comical way. There were comical facts, but intermittent was also some truth, like those insecurities, like those things that we don't want to say with our voice. So this first poem I'll share with you is called An Ode to Myself. On that last phone call, lasting 4 minutes and 25 seconds, you lied at least twice, as if deception was reverence to some idol god who ain't listening, but who still demands an offering nonetheless. You said I'm okay when I'm drowning was more accurate, but you couldn't imagine it dragging anyone else into this sea. You have rewritten this script in attempts to please all the ones you love. Imagine if they loved you enough to tell you to stop rewriting it. You tired of it. Brown boys don't get weary. Don't get teary-eyed. Those brown boys don't come with no emotion. That's the notion. We were fed and we devoured it like vultures. I don't cry much, but when I do, it's liberation. Don't worry, I am not about to flood this room. Just here to be honest with you on how brown boys too get consumed. I get more angry than sad, more bitter than mad. This smile moonlights as a grimace with no intent to menace. I don't hate you, but I hate this. And should you catch a glimpse of me on my off day, I apologize. This mask felt so vile, thought I'd take it off for a while. Well, it seems you caught me anyway. So let me keep it off. I say yes more than I should. I say no less than I could. I have found myself in far too many places that I shouldn't have been in the first place. Wouldn't have been if I put myself in the first place. But I never saw myself as worth the first place. And no, please don't put words in my mouth. I love myself just fine, but yes, I'm insecure at times, a lot of times, most of the times, but hey, at least it's not enough to say all of the time. To myself, I apologize. For all those times no became maybe, became yes. For all those nights spent calculating imperfections into impossibilities, but when it comes to this, you too are a lousy mathematician. For all those nights, you wore yourself like weathered rags, shoved the unwanted pieces of yourself into barely held together bags and wouldn't even claim it as yours. For all those nights your soul went hungry, so those you love could be full. Take a seat at the table. You deserve to eat.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I love about poetry are the funny stories that inspire it. I will tell you this, it's kind of funny to me how there are certain people who can say certain things that will make you really angry, but it really doesn't matter if somebody else says it, you know, you're just kind of unfazed. So, in reference to me, somebody that I held in high esteem didn't know I was on the other end of the phone, which really didn't even know the phone was on speakerphone, and they referred to me as that boy. Now, I do not adhere to the name that boy. My name is Josh. If you want to address me, call me Josh. I remember I was working, I won't say where, but I was working at a fast food restaurant, and I remember there was a guy who came in and referred to me as that boy. That boy is not a phrase, it's not a phrase that I like. So this one is called, That Boy Has a Name. That boy has a name, Plain as it might be, he don't reduce to a nameless noun. Frown. His machismo melts down to a frown. His confidence was lying. His heart was brave. He had made up in his mind that he would speak with some umph today. No stuttering. Clear as crystal. That boy ain't no layover. No transient safe place. You won't walk in and out like he's some game to be played, because that boy has a name. He would give himself away before you could ask. Before the words crossed your mind or your breath met your lips, he would be tongue-tied, body bent, all at his expense, because he ain't that boy. So understand that you are privileged in not having to deal with that boy. Because Josh can become that boy real quick, because that boy ain't your friend. That boy won't lean his back to breaking, won't build no bridges for you to cross. You really almost caught these verbal hands from that boy. Don't try to put him on paper. Even Picasso's fingers faltered. Vivaldi couldn't catch the tempo. Billy couldn't sing him sad enough, and Cleo couldn't predict such a rise. How could one predict such a rise? He made friends with the fire. A myth out of the ashes, the air still gossips about him. Don't pretend to know the enigma that is that boy. Don't dare wear him to the point that you wear him. He is durable without your trial run. More than once he has broken and paid his debt, so by the time you met him, he would be reassembled. Don't dare wear him to the point that you wear him. He is durable without your trial run. That boy ain't nothing to mess with.
Yeah!
The wonderful thing about creatives is that they are very willing, and I'm so excited because I was not prepared for the phenom that is Mr. Julian. That song was simply amazing, and he has agreed to come play with me for this next piece, the only love piece, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah! Collaboration.
Absolutely. On the spot collaboration.
So
Good. When I greet you in silence, I am catching my breath. I am commanding these monarchs to stand still. I am appealing like sinners to Jesus on Sunday morning, my palms facing heaven. My presence is praised, as quiet as yielding. In my silence, I am gathering my thoughts. Like the winter gathers the gardenias with a still life, the way that winter steals life. Like you steal my pride, if I may confide, I ain't had a good night's sleep since I met you. I've been tidying up, grooming the scruff, rearranging anything about me that isn't enough. They tell me I clean up nice, but what do I look like on a regular day? I am consecrating this tongue so that these words are astute. I am cleaning out my lungs so that each breath is blessed for you. When I stare and begin to smile, I am relearning my basic faculties. I am seeing taste, I am hearing sight, I have memorized the warmth of your sighs like the alphabet, wide like oceans, too talkative to close their mouths. When I greet you in silence, the monarchs are roaring in operatic ascension. If I am not silent, they will begin to speak for me. I, like their wings, become transparent, and you will see the worlds I am ready to give up for you. I heard once that we are as old as the earth, as old as this dirt. So if energy doesn't die, then you and I have existed endlessly. Then you and I will exist endlessly. tell you, aren't those creatives awesome? This next piece, Route 7, when my car broke down, which is always a wonderful thing to happen in one's life, yes, I took the shuttle. And I think the shuttle is just a wonderful experience because a lot of times certain things in our community will get stereotyped. And you think that you know the kind of people that ride on the shuttle. And in riding the shuttle, you will hear stories. Not even asking, but just being a bystander, you will pick up on conversation. And that's where Route 7 comes from, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's not that she doesn't believe in God, she just doesn't go to church anymore. She talks with her hands as if her palms are practicing a new language. She just wants to get it finished and be done. You love a man for 30 years, then you wait. Her tongue, frank as this route ending, her presence, known as we sit silent, her bandana red as her husband is deceased. I thought she meant divorced. Still, you love a man for 30 years, then you wait. She supposes she can't live forever. On occasion, lovers leave a little secondhand smoke with the grief. I surmise that's how he died. Must have been cancer. It'll probably be a heart attack for me, she says, cool as the blue of a flame, too hot to be tamed. She's collected, but I figure there are pieces of her scattered all over the city. All that matters, she said, is that she keeps their promise to their kids. I wonder what that is. She just wants to get this finished and be done. As if a cassette has been coerced to rerun, she says, once again, I'm not sad about it. People look at me all sad, but I'm not. I just want to get finished and be done. Can that not be a sad thing? I think the driver stops as fast as her heart must have when she got the news. No time to truly gather herself, pulled her composure from the shelf, and been running ever since the conversation stops. I had entered a cinema for somber souls. Bought a one-way ticket, front row show, the lights dim, sound peaked. I was jostled in between life and a hard place, only to find they were the same thing. From the window, it seems that the bus driver's turns are too sharp. But he spares the cars every single time. Yeah. This next piece, Fire and Desire, stemmed from a conversation I had with my cousin. He says to me, things are getting crazy out here. You're finally getting old enough to have a gun. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so the idea of a gun was a little jolting. He says to me, at this age, you're old enough to get a gun. I stare in his eyes, trying to count how many lives he's prepared to take today. Anyway, I say, I'm a lover, not a fighter. He says, it ain't about fighting, it's about protection, so tell me why the thought of this don't make me feel protected. Silence serves as a space holder. Conversations to be continued, a question to fester within you. What does that fire have to do with desire? If a man comes to end your life, are you to give it up as sacrifice? Offering your body to God like you are praises, better yet phrases that we never could complete, but oh, how we wanted to. Should a gun rush to my temple like sinner souls to the altar, do I go still? There is no way that you can tell me that desire and fire aren't foreign lovers that knew each other once upon another lifetime. When I get up in the morning, I don't want to taste gunpowder on my lips. Wrists burning down to fingertips, inhaling this age smoke. I don't want some mother's tears falling on me, calling on me. A mini midnight hour when she doesn't have the willpower to walk past her son's room. But should he get up in the morning, tasting gunpowder on his lips, gun blood dip still attached to his hip, wrist intact as our fingertips, immune to this aged smoke, doesn't choke him anymore. He won't care about my mother's tears falling on him, calling on him many a midnight hour. Never, she don't have the willpower to walk past my room. Should a gun rush to my temple, like sinner souls to the altar? Do I go still? You know, I found out one thing, out of this election, and that is, if you want to lose a friend, just talk about it. So this next one is called The Veil, and hopefully it speaks for itself. To my dearest friends who wear privilege like a veil, explain to me in detail how I got lynched in 2016. The rope burns are still fresh around my neck, so forgive me if I stutter. Forgive me if I don't utter as eloquently as you remember me. You do remember me, don't you? The one who shared laughs with you like air. Our faces went red over games of truth and dare, but I guess we didn't talk much truth. I just assumed that if you laugh with someone, you might value them too. I guess between teen angst and senior pranks, politics didn't get brought up much. But surely I figured as much that you would remember me. A faint afterthought, a hesitation in your speech, a reason for you to reach for your prejudice a little more slowly. You assure me you're not hateful, but you support a man who is. A man who divides with pleasure then laughs as if he only kids. With that serpent tongue, he had you eating forbidden fruit. Now Eden burns all around and you're convinced it wasn't you. But the ashes dirty your hands. I smell gasoline on your breath. The embers crackle in your voice, but you are deaf to the noise. Because you're not hateful. You're just selfish, and that's a mighty close second. He is never talking to you. His hate never falls upon you. He is never banning you, never planting walls around you. So of course you can deal with his rough edges. They don't ever cut you. Got hijabs being pulled off like they're nothing but hats. Behemoths in blackface wear us like masks. First graders telling first graders they're getting deported. Here's a moment of silence for what's not getting reported. To my friends that wear your privilege like Givenchy, you paid top dollar for next season's last season. And when this wardrobe is outdated, and this fashion becomes faded, this vintage will feel volatile. To my friends, better yet, my acquaintances, better yet, people I used to know by circumstance, wear your privilege with my blessing. But there is one thing I demand from you. Don't bring me up over coffee. Don't mention me as that black friend who doesn't make you racist. Don't pretend to get sad when slavery comes up in history class. We both know your privilege wasn't served with a side of sympathy. Wear your privilege with my blessing. But turn this token in from this point on. I'm counterfeit.
Yeah.
Brown boys and receipts. A couple months back, landed a job in retail. And if my bosses are watching, I didn't condone this. I didn't okay that. But the thing that we learned in training, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, if it's like one or two items, you're not supposed to like give them a bag. You kind of just wait and see, if they want a bag, or, you might ask them, do you want a bag, let them kind of initiate it, because 3, I don't know why, it's just a number. They have 3 items, why not? But the thing is, when you're brown, sometimes things look a little suspicious, so Here's something I had to ingrain in my process. Brown boys and receipts. All the brown boys in my line get bags and receipts. Just in case their feet are too fast for walking, they must run like they done something. Yes, for a pack of gum, he will get a receipt. Mama did her best to make him meek, gave him collard green kisses on the cheek, said, do your best to come back to me. And make sure you say sir. Make sure you speak clear so they can't mistake your words, mistake this verse, mistake your rhythm. No use in denying they will knock that hum out of his throat as if it don't belong there, as if he don't belong there. They will wrap that boy's laugh in a Confederate flag and call it a day. Brown boys need bags, a place for their pride when their mouths are full of questions and they can't swallow. Got these brown folk feeling hollow. Got these brown folk confused. See, these brown folk in sorrow, you got these brown folk amused. People love to be us until it's time to be us. Love to be us until it's time to receive us. Why don't you spit the officer at 16? Go ahead, acknowledge him like you acknowledge me. Tell me more about how you did cornrows best and how you brought Bantu knots to the West. Your language tells me you're comfortable. Why not put on some of that soul, the kind that might stop you from making it home to your family? You want everything but the brown folk suspicion, everything but the suspension, dangling in midair, blindfolded and unaware of where you are. Brown folk gon' always get bags and receipts. This skin don't come off for free. This is one of my favorite pieces. I can say that with 100% certainty, even though it did get written like yesterday. But I don't know, I just have this affinity toward classical music, and if any of you have ever heard Moonlight Sonata, I think we should just say that is one to take the cake. And this one is entitled, Black Folk Die to Beethoven. Black folk died to the sound of Beethoven. Eulogies evaporate from our skin like sweat, our epitaphs already set in stone. Our processional is a southern drawl. Our voices crawl like children looking for their mamas, all these children calling out for their mamas. We live in crescendo. Our movement is forte, the end is an eighth rest, quick but slow enough to catch. We sound mighty angelic to this Beethoven. We haunt the house and the field to moonlight. Been transparent long as the ship sullied Africa's shore. Don't you hear that ocean in Beethoven's music? Negro spirituals ringing out, clashing with his chords. Negro spirituals sung out to these throats get sore. You think they love us a little more. All this God in our tone, our enunciation, a sacrament, but I figure that isn't enough. They want our bodies too. Black folk died to Beethoven. Pianissimo this time, and slow enough for you to savor every second, to sound out every syllable, to taste every act of treason. What better moonlight could inspire such a sonata? What better moonlight than Negro bodies against burning crosses, against an unrepentant night sky? What better moonlight than white teeth against black folks' skin? Gaping grin became groan, became ghost, became gone. Even the blood on the black pavement yields to us. Of course there is no better moonlight. things like that happen. Oh my gosh. Yes. Neither willing nor able. To buy into the idea that this is an illusion, I am neither willing nor able. You will not sell me this nightmare as a dream and make it seem that I'm just dreaming it wrong. If I take ignorance out for a date, there is no way I am buying her dinner. No bliss could she bring like a kiss to warm winter. Next thing you know, she's giving birth to blind eyes, and I'm left wondering how I gave up the truth for a mistress. A mistress that can't even cook right. Of these things, I am neither willing nor able. I watched a black man shot in the back as he ran away, and you attempt to dissuade my disdain. You tell me to pocket the pain like spare change that don't get me nowhere. I'm trying to go. I've never known the art of magic tricks, but it's really something, ain't it? The way these black boys got all this magic, got enough tricks to be a threat, even when your knee is to his neck, the pavement to his chest, but you still shoot. Guess ain't no place for magic in the kingdom of God. I watched black girls who spoke with too much soul in their throats get told to tame their tongues, keep their questions in the layers of their lungs with their breaths. Watch girls find their death, girls who knew their rights but who were told that they were wrong. Now her memory plays out like the refrain of a gospel song. To pretend that I would settle for equality when equity was the real answer to this trick question, I am neither willing nor able. Telling me things ain't how they used to be doesn't mean today is where it needs to be. Better ain't always synonymous with good. And to be compliant with this illusion is to be complicit in this crime. Of this, I am neither willing nor able. Thank you.